Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Monica Rambeau Photon, issue number 2. Did not like this comic book. There were some things one thing I really liked a lot, but for the most part, I think this is not a great comic book. It seems to be going absolutely nowhere fast. And there's something that happens in this comic book that I think almost anybody else would be called a racist for. I'm not calling anybody racist. I'm just saying. Let's get going with that. Let's start pointing some fingers in this particular case. Eve L. Ewing is the writer, not the why would I say that? Ivan Fiorelli and Luca Maresco are the artists. Luca is also the cover artist. Carlos Lopez, hey, I know that guy. He's the color artist, and Clayton Cowles from VC is the letterer. 3 variant covers out there. Let's go from there. So, Monica Rambeau, the definitive Captain Marvel for all of us Gen Xers. I mean, you know, there's really only 3 Captain Marvels for us, but it is what it is. This is a really awesome character that pretty much all of us Gen Xers have always loved. Look, I'm prefacing this, and it's important to preface this. Why? Because this is a character who has deserved respect for a long time, has deserved her own series, solo series, for a long time. Never got it for some reason. It is what it is. Even though her introduction, Amazing Spider-Man issue number 16, the whole entire issue was about her. Very little Spider-Man, right? The Thing was in this comic book almost as much as Spider-Man was, for crying out loud. All right, let's just put it that way. This is a character who has some serious respect on her name. And yet, for some reason, Eve L. Ewing feels the need to make her different than what she was. Back to being Photon again. As she was, I think it was Next Wave. The Next Wave comic book back in like year 2000. Warren Ellis. Not a great comic book series, but even though Heather Antos would disagree with me, which is fine. You know, everybody has their own tastes, and we all grew up different ages. But, like, Next Wave made her so, like, oblivious to some things, and at the same time, really ruthless. But she was in charge of a group and showed her leadership abilities. Showed her leadership abilities back in the mid-'80s. As the chairwoman for the Avengers. I think she was the second chairwoman of the Avengers. The Wasp was the first one, right? I mean, that's a big freaking deal. Come on, right? She's always had respect on her name. In this comic book, she seems to be going nowhere back in her Photon days. Oh, it was in, I mentioned the Next Wave because I think it was Machine Man. Somebody said, why do you want to call yourself Photon? It's a completely innocuous, harmless dot of energy that doesn't do anything. It just bounces off of things. Like, why do you want to be Photon? Oh, whatever. Shut up. Call yourself Machine Man, for crying out loud, not Aaron Stack. But she was always known to be a powerhouse. She was always known to be beautiful. That's right. Even in, I think it was 1982, she was introduced. Peter Parker stalked her, for crying out loud. Like, I remember it was one of the funniest things. Like she was so beautiful. Peter was smitten by her. Everybody was smitten by her. You know what I'm saying? And Eve L. Ewing, though, who apparently does not know these comic books and who is trying to make this character not just modern, but very different, decides to put a really dumb take on Monica in a story that just, again, isn't going anywhere. What does Eve do to Monica Rambeau that is so, to me, unforgivable? She starts infusing her language with what I can only call ebonics. Remember ebonics? Does anybody remember ebonics? That's what we called how certain black people would talk. Some people call it jive.
Oh, good. He said that he's in great pain and he wants to know if you can help him.
All right. Would you tell him to just relax and I'll be back as soon as I can with some medicine?
Just hang loose, blood. She's gonna catch up on the rebound on the med side.
What it is, Big Mama? My mama raised no dummies. I duck a rap.
Cut me some slack, Jack.
Say cutting materials. We say be doing everything wrong.
Chump don't want to help. Chump don't get the help.
Say can't hang. Say 7-Up.
Jive ass dude don't got no brains anyhow.
Yeah, jive. I don't understand this. I swear to God, I don't understand this. This has always been considered racist by anybody who would ever put that. Well, not always, but at a certain point in time, it was like, okay, listen. Even when other black people would tell other black people, you know, how come you don't talk black? It was understood, bro. Nobody has to, and nobody would say bro.
Bruh.
But I feel like, why do I have to talk this way to be black? Right? I grew up in black neighborhoods. I've had plenty of black friends who talked like that. I've had plenty of black friends who don't talk like that. And those black friends would state unambiguously, I don't need to talk like that to be black. I am black.
So you coming to the cookout, my brother? Yeah, so we coming to the cookout.
Yeah,
we got the Kool-Aid and the fried chicken. The shawties. Hey, y'all come out to the cookout tonight. We're gonna have the Kool-Aid, the fried chicken, and the shawties.
It was always known. Everybody has always understood this. I don't know how old Eve Ewing is. I don't know if she ever grew up around other black people, and I don't want to be an asshole about this. But for crying out loud, she's got Monica saying, you know, talking about somebody's fronting on her. Oh, why they gotta be like that. I don't think that was actually his name, but something along those lines, right? At one point she says, go in. G-O-I-N. No G, just an apostrophe at the end. Oh, she's going that way. Like, we can't use two G's in the same word, right? She can clearly say the G sound. I'm surprised she didn't say, I gotta ask you a question. Like, what the funk is being done here exactly? I feel like Eve is trying to make Monica, here we go, more black. That's not necessary. In fact, it is as highly unnecessary as humanly possible. Because you have a boring-ass story with nothing happening. Just to make sure that we're clear on this. This is issue 2. Nothing is happening. They might as well be sitting around a freaking campfire. Okay. A Beyonder shows up. Okay? Clearly a Beyonder who has no idea. Because Monica was in the original Secret Wars. She was in both. But she was in the original Secret Wars. She was a pretty big part of it. Not like a huge part, but she was a pretty big part of it. And I think that she was the most powerful person on the good guy's side, you know? Well, her and Magneto, easily the most powerful there, and just housing everybody, right? You actually had to hold her back so she didn't just go in and just tear everybody up. Holy crap, dude. And she's never talked like this before. I've never seen a comic book where she talked like this before. And I don't remember when I reviewed issue 1 of this series, Monica Rambeau Photon, I don't remember if I mentioned, but I think I remember seeing like one thing where she kind of talked like that. And I was like, that's not necessary. I don't remember if I commented on it or not, but I remember seeing it and thinking to myself, that wasn't necessary. Hopefully that was just a slip of the tongue and it just, you know, a slip of the pen. And it never happens again. Let's let it be the last time that we try to make Monica, who is from Louisiana, by the way. And nobody from Louisiana would be, from that time, would be talking like that. Like maybe half of the people there would have that gumbo Louisiana kind of, you know, slang twang to their talk. It's not even a twang. People from Asbury Park, where I'm from, have a twang. But like maybe she would talk, but she's never talked like that in the comic books before. She's always just talked with a regular voice. This is adding this version of her language to it does not give Monica her own independent voice. Oh, I'm trying to give her own voice. So you do this? This is what you do? Okay, Rogue has her own voice. Gambit has his own voice. This is just making a character who has always been black, and no one's ever questioned that she's black. is giving this character a different identity. And it is stereotypical. Stereotypes are usually not looked fondly upon. And if you think for some reason that this is okay, that's fine. I understand. But understand from my perspective, I am not the type of person to judge an act based upon the person who is committing the act. I am more likely to judge the act based on the act and the context of the act. I may not fully understand the context here, but we can only assume. We can only presume realistically. I know some people are, when you assume, you make an ass of you and me. Shut up, ass. When you presume, you're basing what you know on, or you're basing your understanding of something on previously understood axioms of character traits that we've already seen in this thing, this subject, in this case, Monica Rambeau. So we can presume where this is coming from. Monica's never needed to talk like this before. She's never talked like this before. This is a brand new thing that Eve Ewing has decided to put in there for whatever reason in a comic book where nothing is happening. The most exciting thing that happened here were two things. One, which I really liked. The other thing, which I thought was actually pretty cool. She dissed Dr. Druid. I'm laughing because I'm surprised that Monica didn't say, yo, I'm going to diss that fool. That's how pathetic this writing was. And the other thing was that a Beyonder was brought in. I love the idea of the Beyonders. I hate the idea that, who was it, Jonathan Hickman, who went and made the Beyonder an Inhuman, bowing down to Black Bolt. Like, come on, son. No. We don't need to see that nonsense. That's completely unnecessary, right? Like, no. Beyonder is not a freaking Inhuman. Get out of here with that. So, like, that was such a failed concept. The Beyonder should be a universe that never blossomed and formed 6 Infinity Gems. You know what I'm saying? Infinity Stones. Never should have been just that's what a Beyonder should always be. Should never be, an Inhuman. So, I like the idea that a Beyonder shows up here. I even like the idea, and here's the first time that I think I remember, I don't know, this is the first time where I can see a character being trans and it being the perfect role for this character. A Beyonder wouldn't understand the difference or care about the difference between a male or a female or black or white or Asian or any ethnicity, any gender, anything. Has no idea what's going on. So the idea that this Beyonder seems to switch, it seems, in my understanding, to switch between male and female, at least that's what it looks like by the art, I think that's perfect. I think that there is no more perfect way to show this person this Beyonder than as being a transgender, fluid, I don't know all the terminology, but hopefully you get what I'm saying, like a gender fluid trans person. I think that is absolutely perfect. And let's be realistic, it's 1,000 times better than Super Disco Dude, right? So there's that. I thought that this introduction of the Beyonder in this comic book, really freaking awesome. Now, is this comic book going anyplace? I can't tell. If this is really just about Monica having a conversation with, this Beyonder who seems completely infatuated by her, as long as this goes someplace, I'm cool with it. But right now, the only particularly interesting thing happening is that it seems as though Eve Ewing is trying to make Monica more black. Oh, I was talking about judging an action by an action, not by the person doing it. If my lily white ass, not lily white, but if my lily white ass were to write this comic book and I were the first person to make Monica talk like this, you'd call me a racist. And you'd probably be an idiot for not calling me racist. Or you'd be really understanding because you know me a little bit better and it's like, Bill just made a mistake, but you would absolutely call me problematic and you'd be right.
That's problematic as far as I'm concerned because of some of the issues we already raised, which is, which objective facts? There's like an infinite number of them. And that's actually a fatal error. That's a fatal problem with your supposition.
I don't judge people by the actions they take based off of the color of their skin or anything like that. If anybody other than a black person wrote this, there would be no question that this was problematic, that this was kind of freaking racist. Not saying the writer is racist, but the action that the writer took was a racist action. Does that word racism define the person who did it? No, not necessarily. But it's an action that has the exact same connotation. This was racist by making Monica speak like this. She's never spoken like this. She doesn't speak like this. This was kind of ridiculous. I'm going to make another example, and it's a stupid example, but this is what's in my mind. You're making her speak like this. Why not just throw in the idea that she also likes and eat? Why not have her sit down and eat fried chicken and watermelon? Because I think that's what it would take to get some people, because half of the people out there, I'm sure, were just like, yeah, Bill's right. They don't need to be making her, Eve Ewing doesn't need to be making her talk like this. She's never talked this. She's never needed to talk like this. There's no, why? Why change her voice, right? And some people saying, well, I don't think it makes her racist. I don't think it's a racist action to make her talk like this, da-da-da-da-da-da. If you did it, sure, but no. Okay. But if Ewing were to write the character and say, oh, she's, hey, artists, I want you to draw her sitting down eating fried chicken and watermelon. That would be a straw where I believe, hopefully, everybody else would finally come to my side and say, oh, yeah, you're right. That's racist as hell. Because that's what this is. There's no need for this nonsense. I don't want to see this now. My wife doesn't talk like this, for crying out loud. You know what I'm saying? Nobody in her family actually talks like that. Even the really younger ones. Nobody talks like that. And there are people who do. But here's the thing. They've always talked like that. Nobody just adopts this language. Especially not at the age that Monica would be. And I get it. There's the sliding time scale. I've talked about it a lot. But this was just ridiculous to me. To have Monica speaking like this. She's never done that before. At some point, honestly, Eve L. Ewing might want to sit back and think to herself, am I a good writer or am I just a hack? And I'm not saying she is this or that because I don't know her. I haven't seen enough of her writing. She might be amazing in the other things that she does. But what I will say is this. This was a hack move. And there's no arguing that. If you argue this, I have to question where your motivations come from. This was a hack move to have Monica speak like this. This was not genius. This was not revolutionary. This was not, oh, finally, Monica's talking the way that she should talk. Like, what the hell was the purpose of having her speak like this? Nah. Nope. Sorry. Not having it. This was a hack move by somebody who should probably reconsider the way that they write. Because if you have to add this to a character to give any kind of flavor to your story, then you don't know how to write. You sure as hell don't know how to write comic books. And that's all I've got. Guys, like the video, watch an ad. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.